Hello, students. Welcome to my class. I'm Keerti. Today, we are going to discuss about plant and animal breeding, right? And this topic comes under the chapter name Strategies for Enhancement in Food Production, right? What are the strategies that we are using to increase the food production, right? So, why it is needed? Why there is a need to increase this food production? See, since you already know we are living on earth, we have limited number of space, right? But the population is growing at a very vast rate from day to day, right? So for this increasing population, we must have sufficient food to support their growth, right? Otherwise, the people along with the animals will die, right? So to overcome this problem, scientists have developed various strategies to first improve the quality and also the quantity of crops and livestock. And for this plant breeding and animal breeding are playing important role. How? We will see, right? So I have already told you we are a growing population, right? And we have limited agriculture land. So for a fixed portion of land, what we can do, for suppose these are two piece of land, this land is actually earlier supporting, suppose say 10 family, right? 10 family we are having, for example, say 7 individuals, right? And over the period of time, these 10 families, now they have become a member of 15 member, right? So you can say that the population in this particular area has increased more than two times, right? But the piece of land remains the same. So to support the growth of these members, right, we must think of some, the some process, some kind of strategies to support their growth by increasing the productivity on this land, right? So these problems can be overcome by thinking about the breeding patterns of the livestock and the plants. And this will ensure what? This will ensure better productivity, okay? Resistance, for example, if we talk about in case of plant, and nutritional value. Ultimately, what kind of product that we are getting from the plants or animals. For example, if we are talking about cattle and the livestock, we know we want to have pure milk, increased nutritional uh, milk, in which the nutritional uh, the quantity must enhance, the nutritional value of the milk must increase, right? For that purposes, scientists have taken into account the breeding patterns, right? What does plant breeding means? Plant breeding is the science of improving the crop varieties to increase the yield fast, the quality, and the resistant to disease and pest, right? Okay. So what are the objectives of plant breeding? Higher yield. Of course, we want high number of yield in particular land area. Okay. We want improved quality of plant, right? We want disease resistance plant, right? For example, the if suppose if you know there are five plants and they are if suppose some kind of bacteria or microbe attack this plant, and this plant do not overcome this effect of this bacteria, and the plant die, so it will lead to the clearance of the land, right? But if we have disease resistant plant, even after some kind of microbe is going to infect this plant survives. So what will happen? This plant will multiply and create more number of plants, right? So obviously we will want a disease resistant plant, right? A wider adaptability. Why wider adaptability? Suppose for some period of time there is a shortage of water. If the plant cannot overcome for a short period of time the shortage of water, the plant may die. But if it has the adaptability criteria, if it has overcome this short duration time, so this will grow and again divide, right? And we want desirable agronomic traits, right? So what are the steps? We will quickly go and see what are the steps involved in this plant breeding, right? So step one is the collection of variability. We will collect as much number of variable plants for the study purposes, right? Some of the plants we will, after collection, we will evaluate and select our desired plant, right? We will cross hybridize among the selected plants, which will act as parents, of course. Suppose if this plant is producing high amount of protein, right? And this plant is disease resistance. So if we are going to, cross these two plants, what we will get? We will get a plant which is producing protein in high amount, and also this plant is disease resistant, right? So we want these type of desired characters, right? So depending upon the type of experiment somebody is designing, this collection and selection depends on that particular uh, plan, right? I have just given a simple example, right? And after this, number of plants will be formed. So we will select our desired plant. After that, various testing will be done to the selected plants, and there will be commercialization of the new varieties. The seeds formed from these plants will now used for commercial purposes, right? So this will purely depend on the plan, or say the objective we are having, right? So this genetic variability, of course, is the foundation of crop improvement, because whether the plant is, you know, a high yielding variety or a low yielding variety, it will depend upon the genetic constituent of that particular plant. So this jump plus collection, this is the sum total of all genetic material available for breeding. All type of genetic material that we can think of. We will do the hybridization. Hybridization is nothing. What we are doing, we are combining the desirable traits from two or more parents. Now, After this hybridization, the best combination will be selected. Testing will be done under different conditions. For example, in this plant, what we have done, we have hybridized these two plants, right? And then progeny will be screened for the desirable trait, right? See, this plant breeding, we done this plant breeding for n number of causes. For example, for creating a disease resistant plant, then what will happen? This disease resistant plants variety, these are selected because they are less dependent on chemical pesticides, because they will be disease resistant. We do not need to, add various pesticides that will ultimately, cause damage to the developing plant, and also will cause the damage to the soil in which we are adding we are adding the fertilizer, right? So various disease resistant varieties have been developed. For example, wheat plant which is resistant to rust has been developed. Sugarcane, the variety which is resistant to red rot. Mustard plant resistant to white rust. So earlier what happens when this disease, when these plants, for example, the mustard plant, if infected with white rust, whole area of the mustard plant or the all the plants in that region will die. But after producing the variety which is resistant to white rust, what will happen? Even if we say, suppose, for example, if there are 10 plants, if one may happen, it may take place that this plant may get affected with the white rust, but these plants will still survive because they are resistant to this white rust, right? So next is plant breeding is also done to improve the nutrition. Biofortification. This is known as biofortification when we are increasing the nutrient content of a particular plant, right? When the nutritional quality of the food crops is increased. For example, iron fortified rice, protein rich maize, vitamin rich carrots, right? Suppose if a person is having deficiency of vitamin A, right? So rather than taking some kind of medicine to increase the level of vitamin A inside the body, they may have, they may eat vitamin rich carrots, right? This will automatically increase the, hmm, right? Automatically increase the vitamin A level inside the body. So what we are doing, we are biofortifying a particular nutrient in a particular crop. Okay. So this is all about plant breeding. It depends what kind of plant we want. What is the aim of our experiment, right? Depending upon that, we will choose our the genetic variability. We will taken into account the type of plants we want, what kind of screening methods we will use, how we will hybridize. This will all depend upon that kind of experiment that you want or the kind of product you want, right? What is the final product? Depending upon that, you will, design an experiment and will actually perform the experiment on real time basis, right? Now, animal breeding. When we are saying animal breeding, of course, we are talking about the livestock population, right? So, animal breeding involves the selective mating of animals to improve desirable qualities such as milk yield, meat quality, or disease resistance. For example, we have cow. The cow is yielding, say, 5 liter of milk a day, right? But we actually want that We actually want to double this number. We want 10 liter of milk a day, right? So what we will do? We will, breed this cow to create a new progeny which will yield a milk that will be 10 liter per day, right? So depending upon, again, I will say, depending upon what kind of product you want, you will do the experiment, right? You will do the breeding thing depending upon the objectives, of course, what you want. If you want higher yield, for example, yield of milk or meat or eggs or wool, or you want better quality product, or you want some kind of disease resistance animal, right? Or you want better adaptability to environment, right? So two types of animal breeding is being done. One is known as inbreeding, another is known as outbreeding. In breeding, what we will do, we will be mating closely related animals to maintain a desirable trait. While in outbreeding, we will be mating unrelated animals to introduce genetic diversity, right? Some of the techniques are also used. For example, artificial insemination, multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology, genetic improvement, for genetic improvement, right? For example, artificial insemination, you already know, insemination is the release of male sperm into the female tract, right? So, artificially means the breeder will collect the sperm and will artificially transferred to the female, right? And in case of multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology, what will happen? The cow will be induced with some kind of medicines to produce more than one egg during ovulation, right? So that multiple eggs are formed, right? So these are some of the techniques. We will discuss it later, right? So what we are actually doing, this plant and animal breeding, we are actually yielding high yield crops in case of plant. In case of animals, we are improving the livestock breeds, and we are enhancing the food security. If we are going to have very high yielding crops, of course, there will be no shortage of food, right? If we are going to, increase the nutrient content of a particular food, even if the food is taken into very small amount, we can fulfill our requirement, right? So all these techniques are used to enhance the food production. Okay. So these two tools are used in what? To meet the global food demands. Using all the scientific techniques depending upon what kind of product we want, right? We are going to ensure better yield, better nutrition, and resistant to stresses. Okay. Hope you are clear with all these topics. Even if you have any doubt, you can go through your chapter, you can go through these slides, right? Let me know if you have any query regarding this discussion. Okay. You can contact me through my Urban Pro profile, right? Till then, keep revising, keep writing your doubts and again come back to me and ask me, right? Okay. So we will meet in next session. Till then, take care. Thank you.